From Boca Raton, Florida, this is Behind the Bima. On this week's episode, Rabbi Goldberg is joined by Rabbanit Noa Lewis, leader of the IDF Women's Chevra Kadish and CEO of Echad. Rabbanit Lewis discusses the holy work her team has been doing, highlighting the dignity we give to both the living and the dead. She shares how despite the tragic circumstances, her faith and her commitment to the Jewish concept of doing good remain steadfast. This interview was recorded in the Dabru podcast studio in Modi'in, an incredible place for amateurs or professionals to record, edit, and publish high-quality podcasts. All this and more behind the Bima.
Welcome to the newest episode of Behind the Bima. Tonight, we're going to share an incredible interview. Rabbanit Noa Lewis, who is really an extraordinary woman. Met her on our recent trip to Israel at a very special event we'll share more about. Rabbanit Lewis, aside from being the CEO of Echad, an amazing organization bringing women together for inspiration, is a leader of volunteer in the IDF Women's Chevra Kadish for many years, but as of October 7th, obviously took on a whole new meaning. Very powerful conversation. So grateful for her insight. Chevra Kadish work in general, particularly during this horrific war and all that she does. But first, Rebbetzin, Echad. We just got back from Israel from our most recent trip. I had gone to Israel twice. You had gone once, and none of those times did we go together. This was our first time as a family. Talk to us a little bit about what that trip meant to you.
I think it was important for us to experience what we had experienced on our own trips with our children and with our community. And I think that was a very special opportunity for us to be able to engage, the people who we live with and who we spend, normal time with, be able to be with them in Israel and go through some of the the meaningful volunteering experiences and touring and meeting with people. To be able to share that with members of our community, with our kids, is extremely special to me, and I'm so grateful we had that opportunity. I think that some of the trip, it was a lot of different. We went to a lot of different places, and we experienced many different experiences. And I think what was most meaningful to me about this trip was to be able to continue these relationships that we've already started, having with people that we saw on our previous trips. And each time we go, it builds upon the last trip and the last, people that we met and what they're going through. And this war is taking on new meaning to so many people. And I think we see that a little bit when we get close to it and we go to Israel. I think from here, it's very hard to be as connected. And when we go there, we definitely feel that connection more. What do you think? What was your...
I agree. Seeing it through the eyes of our kids was something which was very special, something which was very powerful. Not having to come home, so to say, or come back. We don't call it home, that's home. But not having to come back and report, but be able to experience and share and process and be transformed and inspired and changed together with you, first and foremost, but also with our kids, was something that was very special. I agree. Each of these trips have happened at different stages of the war and have brought out different feelings. Continue to be in awe of everyone in Israel, the ordinary people who are really extraordinary, each one with their own story, each one with their own experiences, each one with their own sacrifices. And I think that was a theme that came out of our trip together too, whether it's we visited the displaced people of Shlomit again, went back to Kramim. We love Chalutza, Shlomit, and I agree with you. These aren't tourist trips and photo ops, and you don't just make an appearance. These are relationships and be invested in, and they should continue. And they're not over when you come back because you can't post anymore. You're still texting and talking and communicating and loving and supporting offline, online. And so to be back there and to see people, but also to see the fatigue, to see the wear and tear, to see how long this is going on, how difficult it is. And maybe that first burst of energy to say we're all in this together and we're fighting for a cause and we rise to the occasion. But it's hard. The Shlomit community from down south, the border of Gaza, Egypt, and Israel, amazing people of Shlomit. And we had the last Behind the Bima, we had Yedid Yaharush and Donna Cohen on. There's a check next to all the boxes for them. They lived through October 7th. They lost 4 members of their community, murdered, killed, fighting on October 7th. They've been displaced. They haven't been home now for 4 months. They're living, and you can describe what it's like in Kramim. People hear Kramim, they think this beautiful spa. It's very different. And then the last one is 70% of the men from the community are in the army, are serving. So 70% of the men aren't with that community, who have been displaced, who've been traumatized, who struggled and suffered loss. And it's hard, it's difficult, it gets old, and it's tiring. And even those husbands, another theme that we saw is even when husbands have a break or they're home, our family members and friends and longstanding relationships, they're not fully present. It's hard to be with family when your head is really in the war.
I was going to
And
say that last trip for both of us, it was very much like the beginning and continuation of the men being in the army. No one was really coming out. It was kind of just this continuous. They were in the army, the families were back home. Everyone kind of knew where it stood, and adapting to that reality was very rough for them, of course. Now it's at a new stage where a lot of these husbands, fathers are coming back, but it's real uncertainty because they don't know how long they're coming back for. They don't know when they're going back in. It's very confusing for the children to see their husband, the fathers come back, but then they have to leave. And the fathers are kind of on shpilkas. I mean, the ones we spoke to are feeling very, they feel very torn because the war has not been won. And a lot of their colleagues, their friends, their comrades are still in the army and fighting this fight. Some are back. And it's hard for them to adjust to real life. And you see the struggle a little bit. And again, we're observers, we're really not we're not there. And I think that's also very hard for us as these Americans who came to visit. We feel a little bit guilty and bad that they're experiencing such raw emotion and such difficulties. And we're kind of just coming to visit and, try to give chizuk, but really it's kind of silly. We walk away with so much more chizuk. They're such strong, amazing people. But really a common theme among many of the wives that I spoke to is just this feeling of our husbands. It's hard. There's a little bit of a disconnect. They're trying to process the trauma, what they went through. But it was traumatic for us too, to be without our husbands all that time, to not know when they were coming back, what kind of condition they were going to be in, for the kids. And, one of the wives said to me, and it's so true, because, you feel it a regular day when your husband's at work all day and you're with the kids and you're like, oh, good, you're home. Here are the children. Here, could you imagine that this husband's away for months for months at a time, and their kids are dying to see their Abba, and the wives are dying to have their husbands home. And you walk in the door, and that big reunion video, we're all seeing those reunion videos of the music playing behind it. But it's not all that, because the husbands are coming home, and you're like, here are the kids. They want to see their Abba. They want you to play with them, get on the floor. Here's some blocks or whatever. And the husband who just came back from the army is like, I really just need to take off my shoes and I need to go shower and I just need to get into bed with a closed door and not see anyone for a couple of days. They're not ready to engage yet. They're still, feeling what they just been through.
Yeah, the levels of trauma, the levels of emotional turmoil, there's a lot. And we're not spectators. We're invested and we're in it. And we keep going because we care. We desperately care, and going is better than not going. And we feel privileged and honored. Not everybody can. Most can't, for lots of legitimate reasons. It's an article I wrote this week. There's a lot of legitimate reasons to not be able to go. No legitimate reasons, in my opinion, for not wanting to go, being drawn to go. The people who've sort of flippantly been like, why would I go to Israel right now? It's in a war, or I have other plans, or experienced a vacation elsewhere. There are legitimate reasons that one can't go, or when went elsewhere. But I don't think there's any legitimate reason not to be drawn, focused, fixated, feeling conscious, and just be beating with the rhythm of what's happening in Israel, with the news cycle, with those feelings. I mean, it's a real test of who we are and how connected we are and how connected we feel. And going there is the ideal way to be connected in that way, and to awaken something in ourselves and ask ourselves, how are we changed from this? But you don't have to physically go there to emotionally and spiritually go there and be connected there and be checking in with people there. I met a soldier the last couple of days who was out of the army on break. He's on an extended break, and he said there are 15 people he knows who've been killed since October 7th. On October 7th and since, soldiers in the army on that date itself. He's a young man, talking about a young guy, and he's back in yeshiva on his break. He's back in the yeshiva he learned in, and he said he can't, it's hard to concentrate and learn. You sit in the base medrash, these soldiers, the svarim are open in front of them. So like you said, the fathers who are absent present can't really fully engage. The soldiers, it's a country that they're putting it all out there, and it's hard, and there's a lot of love that's needed, a lot of support, and a lot of tefillos, a lot of prayers. But it was powerful.
It's all, even though it's been so much time, it's still so raw. When we went to the Nova Festival, I mean, the site of the Nova Festival, and you saw there were families there that were putting rocks and flowers by their children or their siblings. I would call it a matseva because it really felt like a cemetery.
Right, it was a picture on a memorial
on the stick, and they just planted trees in their memory, and it's so recent and so raw. And while it's been going on for a while, so it's like so much at once, and you just see the stress and you see the toll it's taking. And it's sad. Like you just it's really hard for people. The day to day is really hard, and it just pulls at your heartstrings. Like ad masai. Like how long could people deal with this? It's an
Yeah.
impossible situation, and this trip was very important for us because I think we need to feel that connection. We need to feel like we're seeing it. We see a little bit of the people who are involved, where we could understand, try to understand, try to you know have sympathy and empathy and be with them. And there's a lot we could do here also. There are a lot of initiatives now of sending things to Israel, of being in touch with people in Israel, of helping. And I think we all need to grab onto those
Yeah.
opportunities because we could be part of the story. It's really up to us. But we, like your article, we can't just go on like it's every day, it's normal. We have to feel that connection. These people are fighting our fight. They're fighting our war. I mean, we all need Israel to be strong, and we all need another October 7th to never happen. We need Hamas to be eradicated. We need our soldiers to be safe. We need those hostages to come back. I mean, I'm walking around this necklace because I feel like I need to feel it all the time. I want to think about them. I want to remember that they're sitting in these tunnels, and it's heart-wrenching. And these families who don't know where their family members are and what's
We can't
happening.
grow tired. We can't get fatigued from it. We can't grow tired of it.
We have to remember it's
Yeah.
it's incumbent upon us to keep it in our minds and in our hearts, and be davening and be doing and be connecting and doing whatever we can to really feel part of this.
100%. I'll end and introduce the interview by saying that we talk about going to Israel on a mission, but really we're going to Israel to launch the mission, which first starts when you come back here. If you're coming back here, halavai, we should all be there and be there permanently. But for those who are at a stage in a time of life they're coming back, the mission is not going to Israel. You go to Israel to ignite and light the sense of mission when you come back, because we had massive Tehillim gatherings, and we had rallies, and we had campaigns, and we had efforts, and we packed duffels, and everyone's growing tired. But in Israel, they can't afford to grow tired. Nobody has the luxury of growing tired, neither the soldiers in the front line, nor the family that's picked up the slack who are behind, nor a country who are all in different ways doing what they have to do. And so the sense of mission is not going. The sense of mission is when you leave, you come back on a mission, and hopefully with that mission, our mission will be complete, those on the front lines of it, and be able to return to a sense of safety, security, peace, and to be able to process what this has all meant to get to more prosperous times. We're grateful to Noa Lewis, really an extraordinary woman. I met her at the event. We did an event last week in Yerushalayim. It was an amazing event. It was 700-800 people, incredible musicians, amazing speakers. I was so touched and so inspired by all of them. You can still watch it online. You can find it on Eretz Chemda's YouTube channel. It was a long event, over 3 hours, but really worthwhile. I was moved deeply by it. And I met Noa that night and heard about her work, volunteering for the IDF Chevra Kadish October 7th and beyond. It's an amazing story, and I hope it moves you the way it moved us. Noa, welcome to Behind the Bima. This is actually, I think, our very first episode that we're recording in person. I'm taking advantage being here in Israel and having met you just last week on Thursday night at a special event, and realizing what a special person. I wanted to take advantage of this special opportunity, so thank you very, very much. So Noa, there's so many facets to you and to your life story, to your journey, to what you do, to what you still aspire to do, the difference that you are making and that you want to make. I want to try to get into a bunch of it. But let's jump right into what we spoke about the other night, which is your work in the Chevra Kadisha for the IDF, for the Israeli Defense Forces. I think most people, certainly outside of Israel, they think of the IDF as strong soldiers. They think of the different units, tanks and paratroopers and combat, but they don't want to think about, or don't think about, the Rabbanut Tzva'it, who may be deciding halachic questions, but that there needs to be a Chevra Kadisha, both for the men and for the women, for the female soldiers as well. So how did you get into that work? When did you first start doing this? Is this something you were drafted to do? Is this an official unit? You're not here in a uniform today. Is it a formal part of the Army? Is it a volunteer part of the Army? Tell us a little bit about what you do.
Okay, so first of all, thank you. Thank you for having me. I was part of Chevra Kadish, I think, since I was my early 20s, because my husband is a community rabbi. So I joined the Chevra Kadish because we were going on shlichut, and I realized that it's something that I have to learn how to do, because I might need to do it. So I've been with Chevra Kadish volunteering for many years. And about 10 years ago, they looked for people to volunteer. Someone asked me, I can't even remember how I started, but I found myself being called to the army from time to time to do Chevra Kadisha Tahara. Also in the army, it's not only Tahara, you have the process in the beginning of identification, Zihui, They have to check the reasons of the death, and sometimes it's very crucial, especially if it's been weaponed by or a terror attack. They want to know how the person attacked, by
Right.
what, how can you know, it protects lives, and
Sure.
we can save lives afterwards. So I started to do it about 10 years ago in the army.
Oh, wow.
And about a year ago, they said that officially, formally, we have to be drafted. So I also drafted. But no one expected that we'll have what we had on Simchat Torah. We did some reserves, some miluim, to prepare us that if there will be a mega event of, I don't know, more than 5, between 5 to 10 maybe,
That you'd be ready.
chayalim that will know how to deal with the...
What did that mean for you as a Yerushalmi woman, grew up in Yerushalayim, probably didn't think of or see yourself a part of a community of people who would be drafted or join the IDF? And a year ago, here you are now being officially and formally drafted. You're not wearing today, you're not here officially today on behalf of the IDF, but you have a uniform. What did that mean? How did you see yourself? Was there any conflict with that? Or because you were doing holy work, it didn't fall into the regular?
Interesting. There was something about, when you are having kids that go into the army. My son was in Hesder in Shechem, and he in Alon Moreh, Nachalat Yosef, they call it. And he also joined the army just after me with his yeshiva. So there is an interesting aspect about it. But you need to do what you need to do. I keep saying, people ask me about the war itself and how did I manage, and I always say, Ana Hashem ani avdecha. I do what I need to do if this is what needed to be done. So
I noticed in your WhatsApp under your name, people in a subject could put whatever they want. Some people put their website, their email address. Some people put some other fact. You have ein od milvado.
yeah.
Is that a big part of your life, that expression?
Well, you shoot it straight. I don't know. Maybe it's like, you put destination and ways. In the end of the day, you do a lot of things. And I thought a lot that I don't do Chevra Kadish all the time. Now during the war, it's became a very big part, but it's still not the main. The main is the Chaim. The main is the Kedusha. So I think that if you really, really ask me, when you ask a person, how are you? In the end of the day, you can say, great, good, you can talk, but in the end of the day, you miss HaKadosh Baruch Hu, no?
Ein od milvado.
I have a Chavadnik cousin that when he asks me how am I say, מתגעגעת.
Right. So a year ago you're drafted and they're preparing you, but you never thought or saw October 7th coming.
Yeah.
So can you walk us through a little bit what October 7th was for you? How many women work with you or are drafted volunteers? Chevra Kadisha.
So first of all, it was Simchat Torah. I know we call it October 7, but for me, I think it was the big shock of Simchat Torah. That you on the way to shul and you're after all the Chagim, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and you feel so high, and I feel like I want my Rosh Hashanah back. I want to dive in again and to have this beautiful feeling that Hashem is listening to us, and He is listening.
I'll interrupt you for 1 second because we had a group from our shul in Florida that was here last week, and one of the places we went was Be'eri. And Yardain, a very special man in Be'eri, is the second time I'd been there, took us for the tour, walked us around, showed us his own brother was killed that day, and to hear about what happened in the houses. And we ended in the shul, where we daven mincha together. And it's a very small shul. 1,200 people live in Be'eri, but the shul fits only, 40, 50. And the shul was only founded, I think, 2015. It was such a secular kibbutz, it didn't even have a Beit Knesset until recently. But sitting on the Bima are the instructions for the hakafot. And you can see that life came to a standstill in the middle of Simchat Torah.
Yeah.
So with our group, we said, the hakafot were interrupted. Let's do another one. And we sang and we danced to Hoshiat Amecha. So when you say that life was interrupted, you want Rosh Hashanah back, you want your Simchat Torah back, that's the story of all of Israel right now. It never finished Sukkot, it never finished Simchat Torah. It was just interrupted and in the middle still. But please, yeah.
Yeah, it's continue that. Maybe I sometimes feel like I'm trying to continue Simchat Torah. I'm trying to lismoch b'Torah. Hashem, it's Shmini Atzeret here. It's the extra day that Hashem wants to stay, tisharu iti od yom after Sukkah. So I keep trying to say that I still want to feel that He wants us, to be with Him more. It didn't go yet.
So Simchat Torah, October
Simchat
7th.
Torah, we went to shul. My husband is a community rabbi. We realized what's happening. Slowly, my son came from Yerushalayim and picked up his things and went south. Since they went into Gaza, he was there. He got out of Gaza this week. He's still in the army, but he got out. So my kids started to draft. I have 4 sons in the army. And at the time, my son-in-law as well, and my husband. And I opened my phone because I thought maybe something I'm needed. And then I realized that my mefakedet, which she was in charge, was in Canada, and I should rush there. And so I rushed to the base. It was a big shock, I think. Everybody had a shock. I actually spoke to our friends in Australia, and they woke up to the news a war started in Israel.
Right.
We didn't wake up for that. We just thought something small happened. We didn't get this big shock. We just slowly built it up, and we didn't want to believe. I actually grabbed a neighbor to take me because when I rushed to the car, I realized I don't have a car. My husband took it up north. And also, many of us went up north. So we realized that we need big miracles with Hezbollah and that they don't start in other places, which we had, Baruch Hashem. That's to thank for. So there were many trucks of electricity and fruit and vegetables and like big trucks. And you're thinking, why we have all those trucks in the entrance of the base? And
the base of Shura, where the Rabbanit Tzva'it is.
Yeah, this is our base. We have a building there that we trained, and this is where we look after the chalalim, the chayalim that were killed. In that time, we also got civilians. We got police people. Everybody came to Shura, and there was in the entrance they organized where the chayalim are going, part of our base, part of our building. They gave to the police to look after the families and the children, not the chayalim necessarily, to identify them. Yeah, so it was a big shock. There's a psukim in Tehillim Kuf Lametet. I should have given you the song. Maybe you can put it in the... Yeah. It's called Pliya. Pliya da'at mimeni. Ana elech. Im esak shamayim shamata, im atzia sheol ineka. These words were like running in my head. שאנחנו לא מבינים, we don't understand, it's beyond us. It's a different kind of experience of Simchat Torah, of Kadish Baruch Hu, it wasn't the regular Simchat Torah, but understanding שתכלית הידיעה שלא נדע, we don't really understand what's happening, but we do what we can.
What were the trucks doing there, all those trucks?
All the bodies came, many of them.
Meaning the base is designed, if a soldier or two, if there's a terrible incident in peacetime, something could happen, supposed peacetime. I don't know if there's been peacetime since 1948, but supposed peacetime. But I know when I toured Shura and they showed us, they had
since
to have...
Ma'amad Sinai, I think, or even before, since Avraham Avinu.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't had
nothing
full peace
changed in the last thousands of years.
Anti-Semitism, yeah. Sinai. Har Sinai comes since Har Sinai. But they had to have refrigerated trucks and refrigerated containers, and they was just so overwhelmed by bodies.
The base is quite designed for big numbers, and I think the army was thinking about it, but we didn't really think so many. There is a big area where the trucks are parking, and chayalim, our soldiers from the Rabbanut, that bringing them in slowly, I mean quickly, but one by one.
Right.
I want to say slowly and I want to say quickly, and I'll explain why. Because you want to be as efficient as you can, and everybody is so dedicated and 100% on the very, very top of it. I can say for hours and hours, to do it quick, to do it with respect and dignity and love, but also very, very accurate. And we work slowly in a way that we check one by one to identify that we won't have any mistakes, chas v'shalom, which happens, and to make sure that we get the right information for the families, and we don't miss anyone. Some of the bodies were not in such a good state, and it wasn't an easy mission.
So let me ask, I remember when we toured Shura recently twice, they have there the technology to do testing the teeth and the bones and the DNA and all of it. Who would think, a base would need that kind of technology? So that's what you're describing to identify.
Yeah. So when the halal or halala are coming in, they get like a scan via a number, and they take their fingerprint to identify. There's a database in the army, so there's like a database that you can identify who they are, but it's not enough. You have to have more for different reasons. So then there's a special room when we do we take all the information about the DNA and the teeth to make sure that this is the right person that we have. And then when there's a final understanding that we know who is the chayal or the chayelet, so the women, we take the chayelet. We had rooms just for women, and we prepare them for burial. It's not a regular tahara. Usually,
someone who dies al Kiddush Hashem does not get a regular tahara.
Yeah, harugei malchut. So Jewish person, before he's been buried, do tahara with the tachrichim, the white those in the water. But harugei malchut al Kiddush Hashem, people that were killed because they're Jewish, because of that, there's Shulchan Aruch and there's many other. Not many, but there are different sources that are talking about it, that we bury them with their clothes, with the blood. The main reason they talk about it is le'orer chema, that you come to Kadish Baruch Hu and you say, look at your children, look what happened. Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't want to say I like this, but I feel like this minhag that we have, this halacha, it's part of my shout to say to Kadish Baruch Hu, tireh ma kara. I mean, it's not.
So it's a kavanah. You're actually thinking about that while you're preparing. That even though it's not a full tara and it's with the clothing and it's in the condition that they were killed, but it's a tefillah to Hashem. It's a prayer to Hashem. Look at this. It can't be. Stop. Enough.
Yeah.
Have compassion on your children.
There's like, I don't want to say, maybe it's like two edges, but there's two big aspects in it. This is one of them, that there's the blood, there's the shout. It was like, I'd look at the walls in I call it my room, the room that we work on with the chayalot. And you think like the shout wasn't swallowing the walls. There's voices that still echo in the air, like the chama, kol gagal chama menaser barakia. There's something still there with the shout, with the shocking. I was thinking like the parasha when we put the blood on the walls and of Elokim shel HaMitzrim, and then it's our Kadish Baruch Hu, it's the blood of your children on our walls. Kol ha'olam is watching, the world is watching, Am Yisrael kacha. It's Chilul Hashem gadol. Yeah, you want to say the pasuk, Lama yomru bagoyim hayeh Elokechem, כאילו, why the goyim, the world, the UN, the Hague, I don't know why they would say, where is your God?
Right.
This is very powerful. But I feel like with all this pain and the shout, what wraps everything, what holds it together is the Kedusha. For me, Shura, the Shar Gan Eden, it's the place where after we had those chayalim coming to us, and they've been, just, it can be a small bullet or a piece of missile, or they can be burnt or being thrown in Gaza for a few weeks and came back to us. There's different situations that the Kadish Baruch Hu, brought them to us. But once they come to our hands, we do it in the most dignity and kedusha and zchut kazot. Like we feel like we thank Hashem to be able to do it, and we try. We especially with the women, I can say we cover them all the time. We make sure everything is tsanua. So when they go to the medical process, we make sure all the time that the halakha being kept, that their face being covered. Like we treat them like they are alive. Right. In a way, they are alive. Right. I say to my women in the room, like I can have 3 women in my team, and I say it's the 5 of us in the room, because the neshama is still there. And maybe the kedusha is the point of that we just the Hamas, our enemies, the people that hate us, you want to say the baddies, but they are so bad. You can't even understand this badness. They fight against us, and we're good. And you can fight bad against good in many, many fields. You can be in Khan Yunis or in Shifa or in many, fighting them physically with guns, like maybe my sons will do. But also if my son will take out of his pockets a Mishnah, this is also fighting Hamas. This is fighting Hamas. In the Olam Ruchani, we're fighting here. I feel we're fighting for the world, so for the non-Jewish people. And when they come, we have the Chayalim by us, the Chayalot coming, and we look after them. This is where I fight the Hamas. Like I put up my sleeves and I say, אני במלחמה להכניס קדושה, להכניס טהרה, to bring Kadosh Baruch Hu into this situation.
100%. They have no regard for life or death. And for us, the sanctity even of the body, that was the vessel that held that soul, that neshama. I tell people, our Chevra Kadish back where I'm from in my community, if somebody is uncertain if they have a neshama, if there's Hashem, they crave spirituality. It's a big, word people use. They want spirituality. I say, join the Chevra Kadisha. Because for me, it's impossible to be in the Tahara room. You have the candle lit. Hashem Nishmas Adam. You have the candle lit. That represents the soul. And all of the minhagim in the Tahara room, we don't talk about things. We don't pass things over the niftar, over the mate. Everything that we do is because there's this real feeling the neshama is in the room. And when you do it right, you feel that way. And sometimes we have to do a Tahara in a funeral home, which is a general preparation room, non-Jews. And I've been there where you come early and they're finishing up their preparation. They get them dressed in a suit and tie or their favorite dress. The TV is on, the music is playing, they're talking while they're doing this work. It's work. They could be typing or filing or preparing a body. For us, it's holy. And the neshama is there and the guf and the tara and the whole process is so holy. So somebody who wants to make contact with spirituality, make contact with their neshama, to feel it, I can only imagine all the more so when you're talking about kiddushim, talking about these holy souls that Chazal tell us, the people who died al Kiddush Hashem, nobody has a closer seat to the Kisei HaKavod. No matter how they lived in their life, no matter if they were observant, not observant, no matter what they wore, didn't wear, no matter what they were doing that day, Simchat Torah. But somebody who was killed for being a Jew, somebody who died al Kiddush Hashem, their neshama. So to be in those rooms with all those neshamot must be a very, very holy experience.
You do it. I mean, you feel you feel it's something very big. I don't know. It's you speak about the kedusha. You know that this is it, but you also in a very mode of I do what I can, and you pray for each one, to do the right thing and to give the kavod, and you ask mechila, you ask forgiveness, and you say whatever I've done, I did it for your kavod, for the. It's a very doing thing in many ways.
You mentioned something important also, I think, and everyone's very caught up in the war of where's the battlefront and how many soldiers and where and who's winning, and we think of it down here, how many were killed, how many have been wounded, and those are all, of course, incredibly important. But there's a real battle taking place, like you said, in the world of Ruchniut and good versus evil. And we shouldn't only see the physical fight that's happening, the forces and the energies in the world that are right now, good versus evil, right versus wrong, just versus unjust. There's such a bigger picture. And the soldiers in the front line are the focus of all of our tefillot, our love, our appreciation, our everything. But all of us, even if you're not on the front line, even if you're in America, wherever you are, everyone has a role to play in the greater battle, the bigger battle, the more broader battle of good versus evil, right versus wrong, holiness versus unholy.
Yeah, I feel like saying it much more beautiful than what I can, but this is really express what I feel. I when people said to me, how can you do that? Or you're there, and I say, people wherever they get, but we all do our shlichut, and doesn't matter where you are. We have different people coming, mostly from America, also from Europe, Australia, to the base sometimes, or you meet them in different places, and always I think it's amazing that you're coming, that you're doing, that you're giving, we just need to give and to do for each other, and you just need to wake up in the morning and say, אני נלחם בחמאס, אני נלחם ברוע, אני מוסיף טוב לעולם. Also, especially, for me, being in Shura and being with people that unfortunately, they lost their lives. I'm thinking, בוא נוסיף חיים.
Gotta add life, meaningful life, quality life, meaningful life, real living. A lot of the chayalot, you deal there in Shura also with civilian women, or it's only chayalot?
No, there's police women, there's also the Shabak, the security, the bitachon, But
Because we think about the combat soldiers as the war has continued, most people assume it's the boys, it's the men. The chayalot are in combat
we had
also.
over 40 chayalot
Over
that were
40
killed.
chayalot.
Yeah,
They don't realize that
yeah.
that sacrifice.
There was one of the bases that many of them were killed, that they put it on fire.
And no, maybe you could speak also about certainly the people from America, even in Israel. We're used to that the burial in Israel is not in an aron, not in a coffin. Very
No.
startling if you're from America. The first time anyone's at a funeral in Israel, it can be very startling when you see just the tachrichim and the outline of a body without. But that's not the case when it comes to the chayalim or those who've been killed by Kiddush Hashem.
Yeah, chayalim always been buried in a aron.
Why is that?
Yeah, I think it's because it's many times there's not much. It's just too painful. I guess it's more respectful. Yeah.
To make it
I
even
feel
for everyone. So it doesn't stand out that this chayal, we didn't have a lot to bury versus this. So they just make everyone's in an aron.
Yeah. It's interesting that they call it in Hebrew aron. And I always think of Aron Hashem, you know. And I remember during the war when we had a broken body, okay? A broken Jewish chayalet. And I said Hashem, you know, luchot shvurim. It's like the, you know, like the broken luchot that Moshe Rabbeinu broke. So, and put it in the aron. And the letters, the neshama, the otiyot porchot, it's yeah. And then you see, you when you go to shul on Shabbat and you bring out the Torah and you say, Uma Hashem v'yafutzu oivecha v'yehi binso Aaron. Yeah, it's something that you know, and somehow when I'm in shul or when I'm in shura, you know, we're closing the Aaron. And we're finishing, we're putting the body in, we're putting the lid, we write, we ask Bechira. And I always takes me back to shul, and shul takes me there, and I'm so blessed, you know, we all, Baruch Hashem, that our otiyot, our neshama, otiyot porchot, the internal, and we part of this, you know, connection to Kadosh Baruch Hu.
Yeah, the special people.
Yeah.
You shared with me the other day that when we met, the story that you went to your father for your bracha before Yom Kippur, as parents give their children brachot.
Yeah, it's like a bit of a personal story, but I'm happy to share it. Before, I was very busy in the summer for a different reason. Most of them were very good, and I didn't have time to prepare so much for Rosh Hashanah, and the Chagim started. And before Yom Kippur, I went to my father. I went to my parents' house, you know, to ask Mechila and to wish them Gmar Chatima Tova. And my father gives us a bracha, the bracha from the Machzor, and he reads it loud. He reads it, and I said to him, Abba, read it loud. The words in the bracha, some of them are also, שרגלי ירוצו לעשות מצוות, וידיי יעסקו במצוות, ויראת השם על פנייך, which means that we're gonna, our legs will run for mitzvot, and our hands, and that you'll have the fear of God on your face. And I said to him, Abba, loud, and I remember like really closing my eyes and thinking, okay, it's a new year, I didn't have time so much, but Hashem, בבקשה, בבקשה, תקשיב לאבא שלי. I remember ממש asking him, saying, I want to, you know, I don't know, I want to live life that I'm doing good, and I'm running, that I'm doing with my hands, that I'm always fearing you, I'm not doing it, chas v'shalom, for not a good reason. And I really, you know, it was really strong. And then for me, you never know if Hashem listened to your prayers, you know, you can't say, because of that, Hashem listened, and this is, but somehow when I was running on Motzei Shabbat, in the Motzei Simchat Torah, was a long night. I think that took, 48 hours or something. And then day and the night, and you're inside, and the bodies keep coming, and you're there. And I remember like in one stage, I felt like my foot are like a little bit burning. And I'm trying to do my best with this chayalot, to do it quickly, that the family will get names and will get date for the funeral, and also that we'll identify and that we'll do it properly. So I said, wow, איך זכיתי? Like from all those women in the world, it's really a zchut, you know? It's a big zchut.
And that bracha, a year filled wish we were running to do other mitzvahs, not this mitzvah.
Amen.
But it's a mitzvah, it's
וכן אמור.
interesting.
המברך יבורך.
Amen, amen. We're talking about the Chevra Kadish work, and normally we don't talk about it because the Chevra Kadish work is very quiet, and people don't know who's on the Chevra Kadish. We don't talk about it.
Right.
We Zayin Adar dinner, but we don't, publicize it widely. In your case, did your family even know that you were doing this work?
So Chevra Kadish, I never spoke about it. My kids, I just said I have to go.
So the
even
10 years,
Zayin Adar
years that you were doing it, they didn't even know you were doing it.
No, Chevra Kadish is for, I don't know, over 20 years, and I didn't speak about it. Of course, the husband knows, and I had my friends in my team. And when Simchat Torah happened, and I realized that I have to go, and I thought it's going to take a while, and the reception is not the best there. Reception to Kadish Baruch Hu is one thing, and to the phone is a different thing there. I don't want to say reception is not good there.
Right.
So I left. I left the house, whatever, try to find a car or something, and then I stepped back and I said to my daughter, she's 17, I said to Yael, okay, listen, long story, I'm in the army, I have to go, just watch the little boys, and we'll speak later. And she said, fine.
Does she even know you're in the army? That was the first time you told her.
Yeah,
Long story, I'm in the army.
Yeah, exactly.
Long story, you don't even know this.
She was like, okay, Mom, she's my
Wow.
daughter, she knows me.
Wow.
No, there's something that you don't want to talk about it. Also, I'm not comfortable to sit here. But I think it's important. I think it's important to understand that that this is part of Jewish life, Jewish cycle, that Kadish Baruch Hu is so present even in those moments of, on the gate of Gan Eden to those chayalim.
Right.
And I think mainly that Kadish Baruch Hu, v'chai bahem, ken? The Rav Ruzha is the Rav in Israel for Chevra Kadisha. He said to me, I think maybe 25 years ago, he said to me, he quoted a pasuk from Kohelet, "Ve'achai yiten eli bo," and I took it to my heart very strong. שבאמת it's pressurized life. זה מייקר את החיים. You go out from this experience and you are מחובר לחיים stronger.
Yeah. I saw on Shabbos somebody had a Dvar Torah and they said, based on Rabbi Nachman, that the tefillah to Hashem should not be get me out of here, but what can I get out of here? And sometimes it's both. The situation we're in, get me out of here. But while I'm here, what can I get out of here? What can I take with me? How can it inspire me? How can it transform me? It's something so precious. When we were in Shura, Bensi, who does this on behalf of the Rabbanut for the men, was speaking to our group, and he was talking about on October 7th on Simchas Torah. He thought, I'm not going to be called up because the only milum he's ever done is to kasher for Pesach. So he said, for sure they're not calling me. It's Simchas Torah, not Pesach. There's nothing for me to do. And he was enlisted to this holy work. But he described to us that it's so traumatic. It's taking such a personal toll on him and on all the people who do it. He has a young daughter or young son who, when he was home at one point during this work, was playing hide and seek. They hide and come look for me. And the young child was hiding under a sheet. And when he came in and they were hiding under a sheet that was covering them, he just started to cry and he couldn't, he like broke down and he couldn't. So this kind of work for you, it's now 100 and something days, 14 days, 15 days. We're a long time into this and too many. And sitting by the phone, and I know you brought with you today your madim, your uniform. If you get a phone call, you have to run, you have to go to live with that. The phone could ring any moment. Has it taken its toll on you? Is it something that's very hard, the trauma for you?
I think everyone take it differently. Every person is different. First of all, I understand that this is a shlichut, that this is what, and I understand that it's a gift. And people ask about resilience. Every day you ask from the beginning. You don't own or possess resilience. You every day ask again and again. There were moments that I was worried, especially as a mother of kids. I remember in the very beginning when my son just started the timrun, the fighting in. They just went in. I was busy, very busy, and I somehow I looked at my phone. I usually put it aside, and my son said, "They're taking our phones. We're going in." Very scary. Definitely in the first time, and I ran to tzaddikim there, and I said to them, "My son is going to Gaza." So one of them straight away said, give me his name, I'm calling my Rebbe. And the other one said to me, תחשבי טוב, יהיה טוב ותעשי טוב.
The second one was Chabad for sure.
No.
No? Okay.
No, but he said, just think good and do good and will be good. And I took it, it was like sort of, he collected me back. Like, I felt like I'm back to myself. And I said, okay. אני חושבת טוב, there's, what can I do? And I just have to, להוסיף טוב בעולם. This is what I can do. I'm not doing calculation if what I do is for this or for that. There are sometimes situations that things coming back to you. But I really trying to להידבק בחיים. If I have experience of that, I see something that remind me, and obviously there are many, not many, but it can come with smell or with look on things I'm seeing. Oh my gosh, this is חוויית חיים. This is
Experience of life.
Yeah, experience of life. If there was something that my son came back that was in his uniform, some type of leaves that are in the area, in the south. And I remember taking it out of the hair, cleaning the hair of the chayalot with the same. And here it comes in my laundry. And I look at it and I said, this is of a chayal Yehudi. The alim של Eretz Israel. So you're trying to daven, you're trying to think good, to do good, and sometimes you break, sometimes you have hard moments, of course, and then Hashem also wants a shvurei lev, broken heart. Right. This is part of it.
Nothing as whole as a broken heart. Kutzker, tell us about your family. Your husband is a Rav. I know him. We've hosted him in Boca Raton, the Rav of Machon Pua. We're very indebted to Machon Pua, which is, for those who don't know, in Israel, specializes in fertility and halacha and helping married couples, and it's an incredible machon.
Yeah.
And we've learned from your husband. He's taught the Rabbanim. He's come to Florida. Where is your husband now? Tell us about your children. Tell us about your
it's family. Interesting because when I usually used to talk with my husband and I do the Chevra Kadish, and he does fertility and new babies.
Right.
He says and there's rabbis dealing with the end of life, and he learned it and he can answer, but he said, I always prefer to deal with the new life. So he's a Rav of a battalion up north in opposite Hezbollah since Simchat Torah. I think it's I'm very happy for him. I think even that it's not easy to be alone, and I think he was home for 5 Shabbatot since Simchat Torah. But you want to be where you need to be. I don't want him home when he's supposed to be somewhere else. Yeah,
that must help him to have that support and to know that he has your support to be where he's supposed to be without guilt.
I hope so.
Yeah. Your husband's up north?
He's up north, and I have 4 sons in the army, and the rest are home. I have in yeshiva. And
we're the ones who are in the army?
So 2 were in Gaza. 1 just came out. 1 is still in Tzanchanim, a parachute, one in the tank. I have another one up north also. On the west side, also very fragile area. So we can't really talk much. They don't really carry phones most of the time. And I have another son in training in Golani, up north. Yeah.
Wow. We daven for all of them, and all of the chayalim. Bezrat Hashem, they should be safe and well and come back safely. Tell us about you. You grew up in Yerushalayim?
Grew up in Yerushalayim.
How is your English so good?
I got married when I was 19. And we went on shlichuyot. We went on shlichut in Ukraine, in Kharkov. We lived in Kharkov for 2 years. It was a OU center and sort of a community and a school that we were teaching. And then my husband is a community rabbi, so we went to live in Australia for 7 years in Perth, which is in a way always be a home for us, a special community. So I landed in school and I hopped my South African, Australian
you picked up a little
flavor
accent.
a little bit. And I worked in different things, also with Kiruv and finance and teaching. And a few years ago, I opened a nonprofit called Echad Chiburim.
We'll talk about Echad in one moment, but go back to Yerushalayim. So your parents must be very special people to raise you with this real sense of commitment to the Am, to Kedusha, to Chevra Kadisha. Tell us about your roots, your parents, your grandparents growing up in Yerushalayim. Was Chevra Kadisha in the family? Was it something that your mother was involved in?
I think you're the first one that's asking me. So my mother is coming from Holocaust survivors' parents. She was born straight after they came out of Auschwitz in Hungary, in Transylvania, like Hasidish towns in the west of Transylvania, next to Vizhny, Satumara, all of that. And my father is coming from a Polish family. His grandfather was the rabbi of Tzfat, a more Hasidei Gur background. And I remember years ago, before I opened a nonprofit organization, the Echad. It was very scary to just leave everything and open a nonprofit. And I met a woman that she's unbelievable and inspiring, and she does a lot of things, and her husband and her kids, everyone. And she said to me, I have 9 children, and each of them is individual and open things and do like the whole thing. And they got it in the genes. And I thought to myself, okay, if you're thinking to open something, you can't say that you got it in your genes. I got something else. צניעות, אהבת תורה, יראת שמיים, just a normal Jewish family, like we are. We're also regular. בתוך עמי אני יושבת. We no special story.
Well,
like everyone else.
Every time I come here, I learn and feel more and more that the most ordinary person here is really extraordinary. You could be on a bus, you could be on a train, you could meet somebody, and they seem ordinary, and they would describe themselves as living ordinary. But when you just scratch just beneath the surface, and you hear their story and what they're involved in, and you hear their perspective, and you hear their soul, the neshama, the ordinary people here are extraordinary.
Oh, so interesting. I also feel the same when I come to Boca and I speak to people. Everyone,
Everyone, okay.
No, I haven't been in Boca yet, but
everybody, every Jew, every Yid, every person is their own story. Everybody has a story. So tell us about your amazing work. Tell us about Echad. What motivated you to start that? What does it do?
Okay, I'll tell you, but I just want to go back to your question. It's amazing that people, come from America and say you're so special in what you do for Am Israel. But I feel that we are achim, and that when I see a group of from America coming, let's say for Shura, and I talk to them, I say, what can we do for you? Also, we want for each other, and we learn for each other, and we give for each other. This is something that people are like amazed. Why do you ask me? I ask, what do you need? And they like, what? Yes, because I love you and I care. You ask me, what do I need? I want to ask what you need.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We feel that, definitely.
You feel.
You come. This is my third time since the war broke out. I don't come as a favor to anybody, or it's nothing special. I come because I can't stay away. I hope everybody feels that way. There are legitimate reasons to not be able to come yet. Some people can't afford it. Some people can't take off work. Some people have little children. Some people, there's many, many legitimate reasons if you don't live in Israel why you've not yet been able to come to Israel. But I don't understand anyone who doesn't feel like they want to come, to be connected, to be part of the story, to contribute, to listen, to learn, to get chizuk, to give chizuk. Everybody, everywhere. You don't have to be a rabbi. You don't have to have connections. You don't have to write a big check. You just have to come, and you just have to show up, and you can just talk to anybody, and what you walk away with. And it does work. You feel that it's both ways. You feel that you give, you feel that you get, and it's what it means to be a family, to be together. So that was a beautiful description, the way you said.
So maybe what you're saying is actually connecting to the question that you asked, because you have people they don't think that. So this is part of the Echad and Chiburim, the Echad Chiburim that I open, and also the women program. That's the highlight of the nonprofit. Maybe that I don't take it for granted that every Jew in Eretz Israel or outside of Eretz Israel, in Europe, in America, necessarily connected. I've been working for the Joint for many years, and it was a very good school, and I worked with beautiful people. And also represented the Joint with the Claims Conference, and I was traveling a lot in different communities in Europe. And I met, I sat with many Jewish women, they could be secretaries in Bosnia or Serbia running the welfare, or the head of the community, or lay leaders. And we do Excels and we do numbers, and you start to talk, and then they say, what's the story? And you say you have a body and a soul, a guf and a shama, and they've never been in a Jewish day school, and they've never been exposed to that. And then you're thinking, If I have money and someone needs, so of course I'm sharing, because this is Hazan et Hakol, like we all share it. And if I was born in Yerushalayim and I grew up in a family that sent me to learn Torah, and I see a woman that never learned anything, so we're sharing it. So I think of the people that don't think to come, and I say let's make them want to come.
Yeah, for sure. How do we do that?
I don't know. It's a big question. I keep comforting myself. לא עליך המלאכה לגמור. I do what I don't know how I do that. I can say what I try to do for myself. It's just.
So what does
myself.
Echad do? How does Echad connect?
So Echad is one, which understanding like the what I'm trying to say is that we all one. We all one, and we all share things together, and it's belonged to us all what we got. So Echad has, it's a roof, it's an umbrella. It's a roof organization for different initiatives, and there's a bit of welfare. During the war in Ukraine, we did some activities. Also now in the war, we're involved with equipment, with refugees, as we say, the people, different people that with poverty that lost their jobs, etc. But the main program that we have in Echad called Ola, it's coming from the pasuk, Mizot Ola min hamidbar. And it's a program it started with Jewish women in Europe. We also have now from Brazil and bits and pieces, hopefully in America as well. And it's a program that Jewish women come and meet together, and we're strengthening Jewish identity, and we're bringing knowledge. And the concept of the core, the essence of this program is that I call it like a ball model. I saw it in Orach Chaim, if people want to look inside of the Pasuk Vayechulu Hashamayim. Yeah. That actually you can describe the Jewish people as infinitive dots, that they, in the center, there's God, the Kadish Baruch Hu, and we all have the same distance, the same radius to him, and we're all different.
Like a machol.
Yeah, exactly. Machol et tzadikot. So we meet together women that can come from very different background, and we can sit on a piece of Rashi or Midrash or anything, and everyone can contribute. And if I grew up in Yerushalayim and I learned Jewish studies and married to a rabbi, or people like to call me Rebbetzin, it doesn't mean that it's belong more to me, and I can't learn from my friend from Bulgaria that never learned anything. But when we sit with the Torah itself, with the source, זה שלנו ביחד, it's ours, it's belong to us. So this is the magic we're trying to do together with being active, like a hub to do community initiative and to be a bit of entrepreneur.
How do you get the women to join? How do you convince a woman who's never had contact with these sources, with this text, with this Torah, and say, come touch the divine, come touch nitzchiyut, come.
Wow. So first of all, you know that this is divine, and then you know that there are women. And I remember asking Hashem, Davidi 5, give me 10 for the first conference. Find me a place, find me a budget. I had to hire a hotel. So Kadosh Baruch Hu yesh shlichim, you find somehow. I used my connection to advertise a little bit. And I must say that I think when you want to do something, you get siyata dishmaya. I can't say, you can't decide of something that happened to you that you had siyata dishmaya, because you don't know. But I can say that I started during COVID on November 21 in Amsterdam with a close friend, Bart van de Kamp, that helped me with the hotel in Amsterdam. And I had to close registration of over 65 women from 21 different countries.
Wow.
Yeah, and I had women with the tichel on the shaitel from Manchester, and I had women that married a Christian guy, and very secular and reform. All those women came for Echad.
Beautiful. To be one, to be together. The Torah is the great unifier, brings everybody together.
Mamash.
That's really amazing. Hashem should give you strength to continue to do that work.
Amen.
In all of your holy work, you should be able to spend all of your time only on Echad, only teaching Torah, only growing and bringing people together. You shouldn't have to do any more work with Chevra Kadisha. No more tragedy, no more sadness, no more war. What's a message that you want to share with people? Is there one final thought, a message, something that you want to communicate about either of that work? What it's like to be a woman in Israel today with a husband and sons in the army, what it's like to be coming in and doing this holy work of the Chevra Kadisha, the work of Echad, learning Torah. What's the message you want to get across?
Not such a to give messages, but maybe back to Echad. That בסוף, first of all, as Am Israel, when you watch the bodies, it can be a kibbutznikit, it can be a frum girl, it can be everything. It can be a chayelet bodedet from America that we had. In the end of the day, we say kulanu afar ve'efer. There is a bitul. There is like help me, Rabbi, how to say bitul.
Nullified.
To the one. So, and there is life with it. So you do what you can, and you understand that in the end of the day, akol shelo.
Yeah, absolutely.
all is him.
Absolutely. Well, your family should be all together soon. Bekarov, we should have the Gula.
Amen.
Noah Lewis,
Amen.
thank you so much for all that you do for Am Yisrael, for Klal Yisrael, for Eretz Yisrael. Thank you for spending time with us. Thank you for letting us go behind the Bima together.
Thank you. Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you for watching Behind the Bima. Catch us next time for another peek behind the Bima.